spouse or your cranky neighbor or maybe your boss, and suddenly, bam, you've got blood on your hands, a blunt object to toss in a river, clothes to burn, and an alibi to line up. But these murders are admittedly convenient for Loretta Starling, she of the Starling Mysteries, a Florida Keys bartender by night and amateur sleuth by day. This is Loretta's fourth murder in as many books in her sleepy vacation resort town, and really, it's a wonder no one has gotten suspicious of Loretta herself. I mean, look at Jessica Fletcher. How many people have to kick the bucket around her before you start looking for blood spatter on that typewriter? Murder she committed, am I right? Kate Valentine sighed and deleted the note on her phone, letting her head drop against the back seat of the rideshare. She'd thought a change in venue and writing device might have shaken some decent words loose, but so far it was proving as productive as the last 6 months of trying to force this book out hunched over her laptop in her apartment, surrounded by increasingly distressing mounds of takeout containers.
You said Pier 66?
Said the driver as they traversed the brilliant blue of the Lake Washington Ship Canal, looking her over in the rearview mirror.
That's the Clipper terminal, right? You headed to Victoria or the San Juan Islands?
Kate cut her gaze up sharply. That was the problem with writing murder mysteries. It made a girl far more fine-tuned to the inherent dangers in the minds of men. Any rideshare driver could end up being the bone collector. Sure, this guy had a picture wedged into his dashboard of what looked like a wife and 2 kids, but how was Kate to know they were real? The car was some kind of gray SUV that she normally would have clocked the make, model, license, and any visible damage or identifying marks on. This time, she'd barely even checked to make sure it was her rideshare before chucking her suitcase into the trunk. A private island, actually, Kate said, turning her attention out the window. The sky outside was no help for her mood, the glorious golden tones of a Pacific Northwest autumn having given way to the gloomy gray rains of late October. It was the season of sad lights and short days, a constant drizzle in the air that ruined your hair and turned your socks squishy. How was she meant to imagine the sunny, saturated beach vibes of a Florida Keys summer in this drab, gray existence? Normally, she loved a rainy day, the perfect excuse to curl up with a hot mug of coffee, a cozy oversized sweater, and the latest Loretta murder. But Loretta was playing as coy with her as the sun behind the clouds, frustratingly out of reach.
I didn't realize there were private islands out there,
the driver continued.
Which one are you headed to?
Hempstead Island, said Kate, never one to offend someone who might keep her pinky toe as a memento. That was the problem with being a woman in the real world. Not all men were murderers, but you couldn't tell the difference between the ones who were and the ones who weren't just by looking. Maybe in the new book, Loretta could track down a murderous rideshare driver who asked too many questions and blew through one too many red lights. Kate opened a new note on her phone, typing away furiously.
Where are you headed?
Asked the driver, making suggestive eyes at Loretta through the rearview mirror. What business is it of yours? Loretta asked, making hard eyes right back at the nosy driver as she pulled out her lipstick case shaped like a knife and ran the color over her lips for emphasis. Shocking red, the tube promised, but on Loretta, it looked natural. Of course, there were currently only 2 rideshare drivers on Big Pine Key, and one of them was Loretta's aunt. The other was the hot British mixologist who worked with Loretta at the Key Lime and had already been accused and acquitted of murder in Book 1. So maybe not a rideshare murderer, then.
Hempstead?
The man said as Kate deleted the note, his eyebrows rising in surprise.
That got anything to do with the Hempstead building downtown?
And Hempstead Park, and the Hempstead Art Center, and Hempstead Dormitory at the University of Washington, Kate went on. Those Hempsteads. The man let out a low whistle.
That's old money. You a Hempstead?
Kate sighed. No, I'm just attending a wedding.
Yeah, I didn't figure you were,
the man said, shaking his head.
Money like